Next, we got the Boston Celtics. Erwin, what do you think of this Boston Celtics team this year with Kemba Walker, and what percentage you give them to winning the championship?
It depends. It depends. Here's my percent. I'm gonna give you 2%. This depends. If Kemba's knee is
Yeah, I feel you.
if Kemba's knee is healthy, I give them I give them a 40% chance of winning the championship. If Kemba's knee is not good, I give them a 25% chance to win the championship.
Okay,
But
makes sense.
there's lot of things to love about the Boston Celtics. There's another up and coming team. Arguably, the Boston Celtics have the best starting five in the NBA. Period. You have a starting five of Kemba Walker, of Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, and Daniel Theis. I believe I'm saying his name
Yeah.
right. I'm not quite sure if I'm
You good.
but a lot of things to like. One thing that I do love to see is the fact that Gordon Hayward is the healthiest that we have seen him since the gruesome injury that he had 2 years ago in the first game of that season. I believe
shit
it
was
was versus
crazy.
the Cavaliers. That didn't look so good. Going to with Gordon Hayward, he's having a really good year. He's scoring over 17 points per game. He's shooting an efficient 50% on twos, and he is shooting 39% on threes. Celtics are deadly on offense. They have three guys, well actually four guys that can light it up if you count Hayward, but they have three guys that are averaging over 20 points per game.
Yeah.
In Kemba, in Jaylen Brown, and in Jason Tatum. A Jason Tatum that is looking like a bona fide potential superstar. I'm not gonna say superstar right now. That's too much to say.
Agreed.
But the guy is definitely one of the brightest young stars right now in the league.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can't sleep on. And these young guys have already had some experience in the playoffs. They a couple years back they pushed a team led by LeBron to Game 7, and they did not have Kyrie Irving. And that says a lot. The young guys got a lot of exposure for that. And they also have a good bench unit with Marcus Smart. Can't count him out. He's not going to light up the stat sheet, but he's definitely the glue and one of the leaders in the team. That's something that you cannot sleep on. Another guy that I really do like is Enes that they added this year, Enes Kanter. If you followed him on Portland, he really had his moments, when it came to the playoffs. Brought a lot of energy. That's something that you're definitely going to need in your second unit come playoff time. And another guy I do want to bring up as well is Brad Wanamaker as well. Nice bench piece to have in the rotation. But like I said, look, the key thing, with the Boston Celtics is, Kemba Walker. If Kemba Walker is healthy, and he's the Kemba Walker that we all know and love, from the Hornets, dude, the floor for the Celtics is gonna be a second round exit, and their ceiling, dude, they can possibly win the finals if Kemba Walker's
Let's
knee
win the whole championship.
win the whole championship. They can go toe to toe with any of those two Laker teams or whoever they meet in the West, and they can definitely give some problems to the Bucks. One thing that does concern me a little bit, looking more into them, is their lack of size. Their starting center Daniel Theis is only 6'8". Enes Kanter, he's only 6'10". Another backup big guy they have, Robert Williams. He's only 6'8". And yes, I know for the people that want to tell me, yo, but we got Tacko. I'm like, but bro, man. I'm like,
Ain't nobody gonna say that, bro.
oh hey, man, shit. At least Boston Celtics fan, they've been watching. Don't get me wrong, he's looked good, but I'm like, bro, I don't think Tacko
Nah, not at all.
is quite ready just yet, man, to be able to do that. One little concern, yeah, because the Bucks, they have size. They have Giannis. They have Brook Lopez. There's a couple things you gotta watch out for, and the Bucks can possibly take advantage of that. But the Celtics is one team that you do not want to see come playoff time.
Yeah.
They can definitely light you up, and they're well coached as well with one of the best young coaches in the NBA with Brad Stevens. What do you think, Andrade?
All right. I give them a 60% chance of winning it all. Here's the thing. Boston has depth. They got Kemba Walker, Gordon Hayward, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart. 3 of them, like you said, average more than 20 points. All 5 of them average more than double digits this season. All right. With Brown, you get a great young wing player with a good size, and he also is a good playmaker. With Tatum, you got superstar potential, but like I previously said, that's potential. This is more like future. So we're talking about this year specifically.
But he's
I
a star.
still wouldn't rely on that because we saw that star performance more on the later half of the season. Like, let's not forget that. And then with the whole hiatus happening with the pandemic, we don't know if we're gonna get that same Tatum back. So that's really up in the air, like in my opinion.
But he's already an all-star player.
And well, we saw the all-star performance the later half of the season. That's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't consistent enough or like throughout. Because even last year, don't forget that everybody was questioning him because they're like, yo, what happened to him? Because the year before that was when we started seeing. But I mean, last year is different because Kyrie was on the team. He was getting less minutes, etc., etc. Then we got Walker, who has 9 years, basically a decade as an NBA player. So he has veteran experience. He's a great leader from everything I've heard. Now, the problem with Walker, though, is that he has only 2 years of playoff experience. And in those 2 years, he had first-round exits.
Yep.
So that could be detrimental to the Celtics in terms of lack of experience. Or it could benefit them in the fact that Walker is going to have this hunger to shine in the spotlight. And don't forget that Walker was an amazing college player who had this amazing, memorable performances, and that's what started his hype when he came into the NBA. It's just unfortunately he got stuck with the Charlotte Hornets, and when you have Jordan as an owner, it's not necessarily the best.
Well, in his defense, that was one of the few good picks that Jordan has had as an executive.
And then, all right, we got Gordon Hayward, which when healthy, it can be consistently good player, would star to superstar potential, because I still remember seeing the Gordon Hayward we saw on the Jazz when he was in the playoffs, and he used to kill it. Like, that Hayward killed it. Like I remember just being like fascinated, like, damn, this white boy can ball.
Nah, but even like you going as far back in his college days at Butler, I'm like, they made it to the Finals 4.
Like, when I'm thinking about, like, I don't know, when you can ball in the playoffs, that's serious. You know what I mean? Like, first, when you can ball in the NBA, that's one thing. Now, when you can ball in the NBA playoffs, that means you can fucks with the best of the best. Like, no questions. So, Hayward he just has to, let's see if he can finally get over this hump that the injury has, like, presented himself. And if he performs the way we think he could perform, then he could be the ultimate X factor for the team. Because Tatum is still young. But imagine Walker, Hayward, and Tatum performing at their best, then Celtics might actually win it all. Then you got Smart, who is a consistently great defender and also good playmaker. So Celtics have actually a pretty good defense and offensive team. And then you got Enes Kanter and Daniel Theis in the front court. And they provide a pretty solid front court. And I believe both those guys can have their highlight moments in the playoffs, which that's what it's all about in the playoffs. Like, can you have those moments that can push the team over the edge in games? Because in the playoffs, everything slows down. And Kanter had those moments last year for Portland. And that's a big reason why I started believing in him a lot in terms of being a crucial role player. And then Theis has shown it through the regular season. Now hopefully he can just show it in the playoffs that he's probably a better center than Kanter overall. So those two together, switching minutes throughout the playoffs and rotation, I think overall this team, everybody knows they have a good depth. They have scores on top of scores. They have consistent 3-point shooting. Maybe not the best, but they're all consistent for the most part. You know what I mean? And they all have their moments. The thing is, everything has to work well for the Jazz for everything to excel. Yeah. Now, the one problem that the Celtics have is that they don't have one chosen superstar. And in the playoffs, you can have that much depth, but it's like you got to have your go-to superstar.
I think it'll be Kemba.
And hopefully it is Kemba, or they have to choose, because it could be Kemba, or is it going to be Tatum, or even maybe Hayward. Like, when it comes down to the last minute, who's going to get the ball and who's going to take it? Like in the Sixers, when they had Embiid, Butler, and Simmons, Butler stepped up. Yeah. Yep. Now the Celtics, that could be something that could work to, not work in their favor. So we'll see how that works out for them. But overall, Yeah, that's why I give them a 60% chance. Like they have, and let's not forget their coach. I love their coach. I think he's the best young coach in the league, and he might end up becoming one of the best all time if he can stay winning and start getting some serious playoff wins and championships under his belt. So we'll see. For this year though, in the bubble, it's a little up in the air for me, but I do think they have a pretty good chance of winning it all because they're the Celtics. They've been together for a minute now, and I like Walker as a leader to lead this team. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where we stand with the Boston Celtics.